Wow. There literally are no words to describe what I'm feeling right now. And not just because of what the day is, just because of reflecting on my whole life pretty much as a person relating to this character. So, if you amazing individuals out there did not know, today, on May 3rd of 2017, marks the 15th anniversary of Spider-Man's release. All the way back in 2002, the first ever movie with Tobey Maguire, directed by Sam Raimi, released by Sony Pictures, all the way back on May 3rd in 2002. And today, it is its 15th anniversary. That movie is now 15 years old. And also tomorrow, on May 4th, marks when Spider-Man 3 was released, which also marks when that franchise, that trilogy of movies ended. So today is Spider-Man 1's 15th anniversary. Tomorrow is the entire trilogy's 15th anniversary, as well as Spider-Man 3's anniversary as well. But mainly focusing on the one that started it all. Now, what do I mean by the one that started it all? Not only do I mean the one that started all these other Spider-Man movies coming out, of course, with Tobey Maguire's franchise making some of the most iconic moments in comic book movie history, as well as interpreting those moments in the movies into the comics as well. Also, we've had the 2 movies, sadly, not 3, but 2 movies with Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker / Spider-Man in the Amazing Spider-Man movies. He did a really good job of taking over Tobey Maguire's role as Spider-Man, but of course, this is now the anniversary of Tobey's franchise. And the same goes with Tom Holland, who had his debut in May of 2016 as Peter Parker / Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And of course, on July 7th will mark his first movie debut, his own standalone movie debut as our favorite webhead, Spider-Man, in Spider-Man Homecoming in July of 2017. But mainly today is a huge day for me. Again, if you guys do not know, this was when I was first exposed to Spider-Man, as a lot of other people probably were as well. But in 2002, in May 3rd of 2002, my birthday was on April 10th. So I just turned 4 years old in April 10th of 2002, and then that movie was released. Now, of course, I was 4 years old, so I couldn't really say, hey, can we go out and see that movie in theaters and all that? So what happened is that my mom got a VHS tape. For those of you guys who don't know, a VHS tape is a really old version of a DVD disc. And I watched that movie as a 4-year-old child, just sitting right in front of the TV in the living room, watching that whole movie. And at the time, those visuals were fantastic. Same thing with the storytelling, the way on how the writers of that movie and the directors and the choreographers of all the action sequences just managed to tie all these amazing parts of this pretty much equation together. They have the superhero movie, they have kind of the high school movie, they have the romance comedy movie, and they just formed everything into a perfect equation of just what a comic book movie is supposed to be and what it can be. That's the huge factor right there, is what a movie, comic book interpreted into a movie should be, and how they portrayed that in that movie was phenomenal. I understand a lot of people say that Spider-Man 2 is the greatest Spider-Man movie of all time. In my opinion, it is this movie for me, which is why I'm so serious and so, mellow tone in this video right now, is because of how this movie means so much to me. Tobey's performance, Willem Dafoe's performance as Green Goblin, James Franco's performance, Kristen Dunst's performance, Rosemary Harris, and just Uncle Ben in general. That actor who played Uncle Ben, sadly he passed away, but to me, he is Uncle Ben. That whole scene, for me, again, why when I was a kid, probably some of you guys too when you were little, thought that that was real, thought that in New York City, in real life, Peter Parker existed, he was a real person. Same thing with Uncle Ben, Aunt May, Mary Jane, Harry Osborn, Oscorp, all that stuff. When you're a 4-year-old kid, just a little kid, no matter what your age is, just a youngin' watching that movie as a child blows your mind and brings these imaginatory thoughts to your head and creates a whole new world for you, opens up a brand new doorway to this universe of characters, not just for Spider-Man, but for the X-Men, for the Fantastic Four, also for DC, for all the DC characters, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, again with Marvel, the Avengers, just all these iconic comic book characters brought to life on the big screen. And I do think it is all thanks to this movie, because again, we did have movies like Superman with Christopher Reeve, and also Batman 89 with Michael Keaton, also some other movies like the first X-Men movie, which was in the year 2000, but all those movies were seen as that, as comic book movies. Like, oh, this is just a comic book character brought in a movie form, and oh, Wolverine's played by Hugh Jackman, that's a fun role, and same thing with Michael Keaton as Batman, that's whatever, same thing with Blade, that whole franchise of movies. It's like, oh, it's just a vampire hunter, okay. This is the movie that really meant something for the comic book movie world. Not for the universe of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I mean, like, this was the definitive comic book movie that started everything. This brought in drama. This brought in serious, mature tones. This brought in mature ideologies to bring up in movies with, again, do you want to save the people that you love? You have to keep your powers and your identity as this person a secret. And again, with great power comes great responsibility. Those are words of wisdom right there, everybody, from Stan Lee himself and Steve Ditko. Just, they mean more than you think, okay? Sure, that could mean for Spider-Man, because he's strong, he has to be a hero, save people in New York. That means for everybody. You, viewers, right there, can be a hero. Whether that power that Uncle Ben mentions, the great power, it could be your wits, could be your smarts, could actually be your physical strength, could be your heart, how much you care about people as a person. That is your great power. That's what makes you who you are, and that's what makes you a hero, and that is what Uncle Ben was trying to say to Peter during that sequence. And that whole scene of him not being there for him after school and them fighting in the car, and then Uncle Ben passing away from the gunshot wound of Dennis Carradine, Uncle Ben's killer, just really hit it home for me. Even as a 4-year-old kid, I was kind of really attached to that. And of course, seeing Spider-Man on the big screen for the first time, you can just forget about that Japanese iteration of the Spider-Man movie. But this was the first, in my eyes, the first ever live-action debut of a Spider-Man movie on the big screen. And the way that they portrayed this story was fantastic. The final swing, his action sequences, his scenes where he's in the wrestling outfit, where he's into his high school crush with Mary Jane, the girl next door, and just all these memorable moments from that movie to the sequels, to the trilogy, created a dynamic that can never be broken now in all these other comic movies. For me, again, like I said, this movie started the Marvel Cinematic Universe and all other comic book movies to come. Without this movie, not the Spider-Man Sam Raimi movies, but specifically this movie right here, Spider-Man in 2002, directed by Sam Raimi with Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man. Without this movie, I do highly believe that without this movie, the Marvel Cinematic Universe would not exist. Neither would all these other really successful comic book movie characters and also movies in general that we come to love. Guardians of the Galaxy probably wouldn't be happening. Ant-Man wouldn't be happening. The Avengers would not happen. All the other Marvel movies would not happen. The DCEU, their movies wouldn't happen. All the Dark Knight trilogy would not have happened. Robert Downey Jr. being casted as Iron Man. All these other fantastic actors and actresses and people working on these projects, pouring their heart and soul into these characters' backstories, would not have happened if it was not for Spider-Man in 2002. Again, this movie means everything to me. This is my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. Almost my favorite movie of all time. Favorite superhero movie of all time, definitely for sure. Favorite Spider-Man movie of all time, yes. Favorite portrayal of Peter Parker, without a doubt, hands down, Tobey Maguire. Favorite Spider-Man villain, Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, is breathtakingly awesome. James Franco as Harry Osborn, that is my favorite role of James Franco, and everyone, you cannot deny it, everyone had a crush on Kristen Dunst as Mary Jane back in those days. But again, this is just a thank you video to Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire, everyone part of these movies, Sony, everybody, even Avi Arad. I'm sorry I just said that for you Spidey Squad members, but yes, Avi Arad. Without him and also all these other people who were part of this movie, it would not have been as memorable as it was. And for that, I say thank you. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Happy 15th anniversary to Spider-Man 1. Peace out.